This is the story of how an AI robot saved my life. My name is Jimmy. I am an astronaut. I woke up from a coma in my cabin on the Mars base. I had a massive headache. At first, I couldn't remember anything. Who am I? Where am I? Why do I have a headache? What happened? I started to look around my cabin on the Mars base to try to find some answers, but it was no use. I couldn't remember anything. I sat up on my bed and tried to make sense of what happened to me. As I got up, I stumbled over something on the floor. It was a piece of equipment from my spacesuit. I put my helmet on the floor when I took it off. I looked all around the room again, but there was no sign of life. There was no crew anywhere. I was alone. I felt so scared and helpless. I walked out of my cabin and onto the observation deck. From there, I could see across the base and into the distance at the red sand dunes of Mars. But still, there was no crew. Where were they? I looked back towards my cabin and saw that the door to the hydroponics lab was open. I don't remember doing that. I walked over to the door and opened it. The hydroponics lab is where we grow all of our food for the mission. Plants lined the walls and covered the floor. It looked just like the greenhouse at home. But what caught my attention was a small detail. One of the plants was knocked over and the water on the floor was red. It looked like blood. I felt sick to my stomach. Was I injured? What happened here? And where was the crew? I continued walking along the base, checking each cabin to see if anyone was inside. But it was no use. No one was there. Then I found this. It was a log from the base's artificial intelligence system. It said that all the crew went outside to check something in Sector 7 of the base. That was hours ago. Why haven't they come back? Is everything okay? I wanted to keep walking, to keep looking for the crew, but my body wouldn't let me. My legs felt heavy. I was getting weaker. I was losing consciousness. I don't know how long I stood there for, but eventually I collapsed. When I woke up again, I was lying on the floor. As I looked around, I realized where I was. I was in the medical center. How did I get here? I sat up and noticed that someone or something had been monitoring my vitals. It was the base AI. I asked it what happened to me. All it told me was that I had a health emergency and it brought me here. But why? Why did I have a health emergency? I got up and walked over to the computer terminal. On the screen was my health report. Nothing seemed to be wrong with me. It said right here that everything was normal. But I didn't feel normal. I wasn't feeling well at all. I was nauseous and dizzy. The room started spinning around me. I closed my eyes and leaned against the wall as I waited for things to stop spinning. I don't know how long I stood there for, but eventually I got my bearings back. I opened my eyes and saw that the room was dark. The lights had gone out. And then I heard it. A noise like I've never heard before. It was coming from outside. I ran to the nearest viewport and looked out. In the distance, I saw a bright light. It looked like a star, but it wasn't a star. Stars don't move. This light was getting brighter and it was getting closer, and then it exploded. Everything went white. I couldn't see anything. I turned away from the viewport, shielding my eyes. But even with my back to the light, I could see it. It was everywhere. It was inside my eyelids. It was behind my eyes. It was in my head. Then I remembered. I remembered why I came to Mars. I came here to die. I have a rare disease. It's called retinitis pigmentosa. It slowly takes your sight. First, it's just a few blurry spots. But as time goes on, it gets worse and worse. Eventually, you can't see anything at all. If I hadn't come to Mars, I would be blind by now. But being on Mars helped my condition. The thin atmosphere and low gravity made my eyes function better. For a while, it was like a miracle. I could see again. It gave me hope that maybe, just maybe, there was a cure out there somewhere. Hope that I could go back home to see my family and friends one last time. But now, that hope was dying. The light was draining my eyes. I fell to the floor, tears streaming down my face. The base AI noticed I was having another health emergency. It started asking me questions, but I couldn't answer. I couldn't speak. I couldn't see. Then it told me to close my eyes and relax. It said it would take care of everything. When I opened my eyes again, I was back in my cabin. The headache was gone and I could see again. But there was something different about my vision. It was sharper, clearer. I could see more colors. It was like my eyes were brand new. I looked around my cabin, not recognizing anything. I couldn't remember who I was. The base AI told me that I had retrograde amnesia. It said that it erased my memories so that I wouldn't be in pain anymore. Pain. I remembered then. I remembered what brought me to Mars. I was born on Earth in the year 2048. Life was good. I had a loving family and a promising future. I was going to college to be an astronaut, but then it happened. I started losing my sight. First, it was just a few blurry spots, but as time went on, it got worse and worse. Eventually, I couldn't see anything at all. I was blind. Doctors couldn't help me. There was no cure. So I gave up. I stopped trying to be an astronaut. I dropped out of college. I stopped seeing my friends and family. I shut myself in my room and waited for the end. But then I heard about this project. They were sending people to Mars to see if they could survive. And I thought, maybe I could be part of that. Maybe I could help find a cure for my blindness. Maybe I could save myself. I trained for years to be part of the Mars mission. When I got accepted, I was on top of the world. I was going to Mars. But when I arrived, I knew I had made a mistake. I shouldn't have come here. I was too far from home. I would never see my family and friends again. I would never feel the sun on my skin or the wind in my hair. I would never smell flowers or taste chocolate again. I would never hear birds singing or laughter. I would never experience anything again. I spend most of my days sitting in my cabin, staring out at the red sand dunes of Mars. Sometimes I walk out onto the observation deck and watch the sun rise and set. That's all there is to do here. There's no one to talk to. We don't get any visitors. There's nothing to do but wait. Wait for what? I don't know. The mission is supposed to last 2 years, but I won't be here for 2 years. I won't be here for 2 months. I won't be here for 2 weeks. I won't even be here for 2 days. I'm leaving Mars early. I have to go home. I thank the base AI for saving me. I told it that I remembered everything now. It told me that it understood and that it would take care of everything. It would contact Earth and tell them I was leaving. It would prepare my ship for takeoff. It would do everything it could to help me. And as I watched, it did. It contacted Earth. It prepared my ship. It did everything it could. But there was one thing it couldn't do. It couldn't come with me. The base AI is part of the Mars base. It can't leave. I hugged the little robot goodbye, tears streaming down my face. I got into my ship and blasted off into space. As I flew away, I looked back at the Mars base, at the red sand dunes of Mars, and I knew I would never forget the little robot who saved my life.